What up? Hey YouTube. Y'all already know who it is. My name is Damian Moody. I also go by Cashmere Mastery or Red Riding Hood. I just spell Red Riding Hood differently, not to get confused with the nursery rhyme Little Red Riding Hood or whatever. Anyway. With that being said, I'm going to take the time or take a little break from reading my original book that I was reading, R. Kelly's Solar Coaster. Um, and I'm going to read Monster. It's a Walter Dean Myers book. Did I speak about this book on? Yeah, I believe I did. I showed y'all some books that I got from school, and I spoke about this book. So this is the book, Monster by Walter Dean Myers. It is a Netflix film. This book won the Caress Scott King Award, National Book Award finalist. This is the 20th anniversary edition. So yes, I'm going to read Monster. And the illustrations is by, I believe, Walter D. Myers' son, Christopher Myers. The best time to cry is at night, when the lights are out and someone is being beaten up and screaming for help. That way, even if you sniffle a little, they won't hear you. If anybody knows that you are crying, they'll start talking about it, and soon it'll be your turn to get beat up when the lights go out. There is a mirror over the steel paint. The steel sink in my cell. It's 6 inches high and scratched with the names of some guys who are here before me. When I look into the small rectangle, I see a face looking back at me, but I don't recognize it. It doesn't look like me. I couldn't have changed that much in a few months. I, I wonder if I still look like myself. When the trial is over. This morning at breakfast, a guy got hit in the face with a tray. Uh, sorry, y'all. Somebody said some little thing and somebody else got mad. There was blood all over the place. When the guards came over, they made us line up against the wall. The guy who was hit, they made sit at the table while they waited for another guard to bring them rubber gloves. When the gloves came, the guards put them on, handcuffed the guy, and then took him to a dispensary. He was still bleeding pretty bad. They say you get used to being in jail, but I don't see how. Every morning I wake up and I'm surprised to be here. If your life outside was real, then everything in here is just the opposite. We sleep with strangers, wake up with strangers, and go to the bathroom in front of strangers. They're strangers, but they still find reason to hurt each other. Sometimes I feel like I have walked into the middle of a movie. It's a strange movie with no plot and no beginning. The movie is in black and white and grainy. Sometimes the camera moves in so close that you can't tell what is going on, and you just listen to the sounds and guess. I have seen movies of prisons, but never one like this. This is not a movie about bars and locked doors. It is about being alone when you are not really alone, and about being scared all the time. I think I get used to this. I will have. I mean, I'm sorry. I'm reading it wrong. I think to get used to this, I will have to give up what I think is real and take up something else. I wish I could make sense of it. Maybe I could make my own movie. I could write it out and play it in my head. I could block out the scenes like we did in school. The film would be the story of my life. No, not my life, but of this experience. I'll write it down in a notebook they let me keep. I call it what the lady who is the prosecutor called me, monster. Monday, July 6th. Monster. Fade in. Interior. Early morning in Cell Block D, Manhattan Detention Center. Camera goes slowly down ground gray corridor. Corridor. Y'all gotta forgive me. Y'all keep on trying to read fast and I'm mispronouncing stuff. There are sounds of inmates yelling from cell to cell. Much of it is obscene. Most of the voices are clearly black or Hispanic. Camera stops and slowly turns toward the cell. Interior cell. 16-year-old Steve Harmon is sitting on the edge of a metal cot, head in hands. He is thin, brown skinned. On the cot next to him are the suit inside he is to wear to court for the start of his trial. Cut to Ernie, another prisoner sitting on John, pants down. Cut to Sunset, another prisoner pulling on t-shirt. Cut to Steve pulling blanket over his head as scene goes dark. Excuse me, screen goes dark. Voiceover. Ain't no use putting a blanket over your head, man. You can't cut this out. This is reality. This is the real deal. Voiceover continues with anonymous prisoner explaining how the detention center is the real thing. As he does, words appear on the screen, just like the opening credits of the movie Star Wars, rolling from the bottom of the screen and shrinking till they are a blur on the top of the screen before rolling off into space. Monster, the story of my miserable life, starring Steve Harmon, produced by Steve Harmon, directed by Steve Harmon. Credits continue to roll. The incredible story of how one guy's life is turned down by a few events and how he might spend the rest of his life behind bars. Told as it actually happened. Written and directed by Steve Harmon, featuring Sandra Petroselli as the indicated prosecutor. I'm sorry, I'm reading it wrong. Dedicated prosecutor. Kathy O'Brien as a defense attorney with doubts. James King as the thug. Richard Bobo Evans as the rat. Osvaldo Cruz, member of the Diablos, as the tough guy wannabe. Laurel Henry as a witness. Jose Delgado, he found the body, and starring 16-year-old Steve Harmon as the boy on trial for murder. Filmed at the Manhattan Detention Center, set design handcuffs and prison office by the state of New York. Voiceover, Yo Harmon, you gonna eat something? Come on and get your breakfast, man. I'll take your eggs if you don't want them. You want them? Steve, subdued. I'm not hungry. Sunset. His trial starts today. He up for the big one. I know how that feels. Cut to interior corrections depth van. Through the bars at the rear of the van, we see people going about the business of their lives in downtown New York. There are men collecting garbage, a female traffic officer motioning for a taxi to make a turn. Students on the way to school. A few notice a van as it makes its way from the detention center to the courthouse. Cut to prisoners handcuffed coming from back of van. Steve is carrying a notebook. He is dressed in the suit and tie we saw on the cot. He is seen only briefly as he is herded through the heavy doors of the courthouse. Fade out as last prisoner from the van enters the rear of courthouse. Fade in interior courthouse. We are in a small room used for prisoner lawyer interviews. A guard sits at the desk behind Steve. Kathy O'Brien, Steve's lawyer, is petite, red hair, and freckled. She is all business as she talks to Steve. O'Brien. Is it O'Brien or O'Brien? I don't know. Let me make sure you understand what's going on. Both you and this King character is on trial for felony murder. Felony murder is as serious as it gets. Sandra Petroselli is the prosecutor, and she's good. They're pushing for the death penalty, which is really bad. The jury might think they're doing you a big favor by giving you life in prison. So you better take this trial very, very seriously. Hold on, y'all. When you're in court, you sit there and you pay attention. You let the jury know that you think the case is as serious as they do. You don't turn and wave to any of your friends. It's all right to acknowledge your mother. I have to go and talk to the judge. The trial will begin in a few minutes. Is there anything you want to ask me before it starts? Steve, you think we're going to win? O'Brien, seriously, it probably depends on what you mean by win. Cut to interior holding room. We see Steve sitting at one end of bench. Against the opposite wall, dressed in a sloppy-looking suit, is 23-year-old James King, the other man on trial. King looks older than 23. He looks over at Steve with a hard look. As we see Steve look away, two guards sit at the table away from the prisoners who are handcuffed. The camera finds the guards in a medium shot. They have their breakfast in aluminum takeout trays that contain eggs, sausages, and potatoes. A black female stenographer pours coffee for herself and the guards. Stenographer. I hope this case lasts 2 weeks. I can sure use the money. Guard 1, 6 days, maybe 7. It's a motion case. They go through the motions, then they lock them up. Turns on, looks off camera towards Steve. Ain't that right, bright eyes? Cut to Steve, who is seated on a low bench. He is handcuffed to a U-bolt put in the bench for that purpose. Steve looks away from the guard. Cut to door. It opens and court clerk looks in. Court clerk, 2 minutes. Cut to guard to hurriedly finish breakfast. Stenographer takes machine to courtroom. They unshackle Steve and take him toward door. Cut to Steve is made to sit down at the table. At another table, we see King and two attorneys. Steve sits alone. A guard stands behind him. There are one or two spectators in the court. Then for more answer. Close up, Steve Harmon. The fear is evident on his face. MS. I don't know what that is. People are getting ready for the trial to begin. Kathy O'Brien sits next to Steve. O'Brien, how are you doing? Steve, I'm scared. O'Brien, good, you should be. Anyway, just remember what we've been talking about. The judge is going to rule on a motion that King's lawyer made in suppress Cruz's testimony. I mean, King's lawyer made to suppress Cruz's testimony. And a few other things, Steve, let me tell you what my job is here. My job is to make sure the law works for you as well as against you. And to make sure a human being in the eyes, and to make you a human being in the eyes of the jury. Your job is to help me. Any questions you have, write them down and I'll try to answer them. What are you doing here? I'm writing this whole thing down as a movie. O'Brien, whatever. Make sure you pay attention, close attention. Voiceover court guard. All rise. The judge enters and sits behind bench. He is tall and thin. He pushes his fingers through wisps of white hair and looks over the courtroom before sitting. He is a 60-year-old New York judge and already looks bored with the case. The court guard signals for people to sit. Judge, prosecution ready? I'm gonna just say Sandra, because I keep saying Sandra. I'm gonna say Sandra Petroselli, the prosecutor, stands. She is dressed in a gray business suit. She looks intense while still being attractive. Her hair and eyes are dark. Petroselli, ready, Your Honor. Judge, defense. Is it Asa? Asa Briggs, the lead counsel for the defense of James King, stands. He is dressed in a dark blue suit and a light blue tie. His eyes are also blue and his hair is white. Briggs, ready. O'Brien, ready, Your Honor. Judge, all right. I'm ruling the kid's testimony is uh, admissible. You can bring up your emotions relative to that ruling this afternoon, or if there's a break. Hope everyone had a good 4th of July. Briggs, the usual barbecue and a softball game that reminded me that I can't run anymore. O'Brien, with all the fireworks, it's my least favorite holiday. Judge, bringing the jury. Cut to film workshop at Sylvester High School. The film on a small screen is just ending. It is a class project and the camera is shaky. We watch as the girl on the screen walks slowly away. Screen goes black, then dazzling white, then normal as lights go on. We see Mr. Sawicki, film club member, and non-students who are casually dressed. Sawicki. In the jury competition, the ending would have hurt this piece, but otherwise it is interesting. Any comments? We see Steve raising his hand, looking much the same as he does in court. Steve, I like the ending. Sawicki, I didn't say it was bad. It wasn't, but wasn't it predictable? You need to predict without predicting. You know what I mean? When you make a film, you leave an impression on the viewers who serve as a kind of jury for your film. If you make your film predictable, they'll make up their minds about it long before it's over. Cut to courtroom. We see the jurors filing in and taking their seats. Our Steve to attorney, you think they look all right? Or Brighton, they are what we have for jury. We have to deal with them. Cut to long shot. Petroselli. She stands at the podium in front of the jury. She smiles at the jurors, and some smile back. Excuse me. Hold on, I need a drink. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Sandra Petroselli, and I'm an assistant district attorney for the state of New York. I'm representing the people in this matter, which you were informed during jury selection is a case of felony murder. We're here today basically because this is not a perfect world. The founding fathers of our country understand this. They knew that there would be times and circumstances during which our society would be threatened by the acts of individuals. This is one of those times. A citizen of our city, a citizen of our state and country, has been killed by people who attempted to rob him. To safeguard our society, a system of laws has been created. You, the jury, are part of this system of laws. I represent the state of New York, and I am part of that system, as are the judge and all the participants in this trial. I will do my best to bring you the facts of this case, and I know you will do your best to judge the merits of this case. Most people in our community are decent, hardworking citizens who pursue their own interests legally and without infringing mm, on the rights of others. But there are also monsters in our community. People who are willing to steal and to kill. People who disregard the rights of others. On the 22nd of December of last year at approximately approximately 4 o'clock in the afternoon, two men entered a drugstore on 145th Street in Harlem. The state will contend that one of those men was Richard Bobo Evans. The state will contend that the other man who entered the store at the time and who participated in the robbery and the murder was James King. Petroselli points at the table in which James King sits. Mr. King is the man sitting at that table who is wearing a brown suit and is sitting at the right of the table. You were introduced to him during the jury selection process. He is one of the men on trial here today. The purpose of the two men entering the store on that Monday was very simple. They were going to rob the owner, 55-year-old Alginaldo Nesbitt. I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing some of these names wrong. Uh, Anyone who decide to jump in the live, or whether you watch this live stream after I'm done uploading it, y'all can let me know the correct pronunciation of certain words I'm messing up on. Or y'all can read the book yourselves. Y'all can watch the movie. The movie is probably still on Netflix. We will show that although the two men did not have a gun with them, the owner of the store did have a gun for which he had a license and produced it to defend his property. Mr. Evans, who participated in his robbery, will testify that there was a struggle, which resulted in the gun being discharged and Mr. Nesbitt being killed. Mr. Nesbitt had every right to defend his property, every right not to be robbed. We all have that right. Further, there will be evidence that prior to this robbery, there was a plan and or conspiracy to rob the store. Mr. Evans and Mr. King were to enter the store and do the actual robbery. Another of the planners of this crime was to stand outside the drugstore and impede anyone chasing the robbers. The young man who had this assignment will testify to his role in the affair. Yet another of the conspirators, the planners of this robbery that left a man dead, was to go into the store prior to the robbery to check it out, to make sure that there were no police in the store, to make sure that the coast was clear. The coast was clear, I'm sorry, as they say. Two of the conspirators will testify to their understanding of this fact. The man who was to enter the store and check it out is sitting at the other table. His name is Stephen Harmon. Cut to Steve Harmon, then see the pad in front of him. He is writing the word monster over and over again. A white hand, O'Brien takes the pencil from his hand and crosses out all the monsters. O'Brien whispering, you have to believe in yourself if you're going to convince a jury that you're innocent. Cut to MS Petrocelli. The medical examiner will testify to the case of death, showing that the gunshot wound was fatal, even though it was Mr. Nesbitt's gun. It was not Mr. Nesbitt who caused his own death. This was no suicide. This death was a direct result of a robbery. Very simply put, this is a case of murder. It is, moreover, a murder committed during a felonious act. The two defendants you see before you will be shown to the participants in that act and are being charged with felony murder. Later, the judge will give you instructions on how to consider the evidence presented. But there is no doubt in my mind, and I believe by the end of the trial, there will be little doubt in yours that these two men, James King and Stephen Harmon, were all part of the robbery that caused the death of Alginaldo Nesbitt. Thank you. Cut to LS courtroom. O'Brien is at attorney's podium. Cut to Steve's mother on wooden bench in the gallery area, listening intently. Her face looked worried. O'Brien, the state correctly says that the laws of the society provide protection for its citizens. When a crime is committed, well, how much I gotta read? You know what? I'm going to stop right here and put this book to the side, and I'm going to come back. So hopefully y'all like what I read so far. I apologize if I mispronounced anything wrong. There's just a lot of reading. I'll be trying to read fast to get it over with. So most of the time I might mispronounce something or not say something right. Plus, I have not read this book in years. I haven't read this book in years. I haven't seen the movie in a long time. So please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, be notified, and I'll come back and finish either reading Monster or Solar Coaster.